Nine Consulting are technology specialists in education. So we work primarily just in the education sector. We work with lots of different types of schools, primary schools, SEN schools, secondary schools. We work with trusts, academies, universities, and we help them through the logistical and practical aspects of getting a project like this off the ground and up and running, and making sure that your staff are happy with what's going on and they understand it, and making sure that it ties back into the overall vision for the school, rather than just getting a runaway IT project that goes a bit awry, which we've all seen happen before. Here are the key points that we look for to make sure that you've got all of these things in order before thinking about one-to-one. Maybe you're already on this journey. Wireless network infrastructure is top of the list. Whatever your ownership model, Wi-Fi is the oxygen to these devices, and if you've not got Wi-Fi, you can still use things like the camera, but you're going to find that straight away when you want to share what you've done, it gets very, very tricky and frustrating for your students. Your students will expect Wi-Fi to be there all the time. Mobile device management, even just for inventory. If you've got 20 or 30 devices in one class set across the whole school, mobile device management, you can get different solutions. Some of them are free, some of them you'll pay for. Obviously the paid for ones will be a bit easier to use maybe, they'll have more features maybe, but there are free, relatively easy to use solutions that you can implement to just inventory the devices, understand who's got which device, push out apps, even free apps to the devices, so there's lots you can do in the ways of mobile device management, and this is something, a big aspect that we help schools with as well, to help them manage them remotely. E-safety and filtering. This is really key, and it's easy to overlook. All of your schools will have different filtering applied to your internet already at a district level, and it's important to take that into consideration before you start thinking about, oh, we're going to use Google Apps for Education, or we're going to make a YouTube channel, because if it's blocked, it's just not going to go anywhere. So obviously these considerations, we help you by partnering with our technical consultants. We can help you understand what filters, what ports need to be opened, and get that done for you. Audio visual. If you've got iPads, especially a teacher iPad in your school, and you don't have the ability to share what's on your iPad's display to the screen, you're missing out big time. I'd say about 50 to 70% of the value of the device from a teacher's point of view is being able to pick up the device and the spontaneity of saying, okay, here's what you need to look at, bosh, there it is on the screen. Oh, we need to look at something else now, close that down, look at something else, bosh, there it is. Some examples Ronaldo showed earlier, really, really useful. But I think that's something to consider, audio and visual. I'd like to talk just briefly about some strategic opportunities. As I mentioned at the very beginning, tablets in the classroom, it's a teaching and learning project. The idea is to add some value or enhance teaching and learning in some way. And with all the different technical aspects that I mentioned in the previous slide, it's easy to get bogged down in that, and obviously those responsibilities for managing the whole project tend to get dumped onto the IT team, but are they necessarily the best people to understand? They're best people in terms of support and getting it working, but leverage your best people in terms of understanding the school's development plan and the pedagogy and the curriculum. We've got some examples of a digital team which shows that really nicely. But what we do is we look at the school's development plan, and we align with the SLT to find ways that they can leverage the device to enhance or achieve their existing goals, rather than rewrite the entire book on how the school works. So there's some examples here: differentiation, high achievers, pupil self-assessment, critical thinking and inquiry-based learning. They're 4 examples. Your school development plan will look very different, no doubt, but differentiation, just the ability to use 3 or 4 different methods spontaneously to show, maybe I want to show you a video, or I want to show you a picture, or maybe let's make a movie to understand this project. Having all those, it is lots of tools in one, so it just inherently helps with differentiation. High achievers, I mentioned earlier, you will have students that are better about the how-to, they know more about the how-to than your staff do, and people will have different levels of comfort with that, knowing that, but you're not going to fix it, you're not going to change it, you can't tell students to stop learning about apps. Embrace it, use them as your digital leadership team in the class, and they can help their peers out, and they can help out students. We've even had a student genius bar before, where anyone in the school, staff and students, can go to the genius bar, and students will help them find answers to their questions, or fix the device if it's broken, if it's lost Wi-Fi because someone accidentally pressed the Wi-Fi airplane mode button or something, little things like that, and it really empowered the students and helped them, leveraging your high achievers. Pupil self-assessment and target setting. I mentioned the camera being probably the most overlooked tool. If you've got a tablet that's got a camera on the back and the front, even better. We've seen students using a front-facing camera to primary school students as well, with maybe low literacy, just filming their own self-assessment. So they'll pick up a camera and they'll say, today I learned X, Y, Z, and tomorrow I hope to achieve A, B, C, and here's what I found difficult, and here's what I liked about the lesson, save. 10, 15-second video, loads of value for the parents, loads of value for the teachers to kind of assess the students. So doing self-assessment, setting their own targets, or even writing those things down, again, if the skills are there to write that down. This can add value just inherently as well, but just using a very simple tool, the camera. Think about where you're going to store these videos as well if you've got lots of movies being made. Maybe you want a cloud solution, maybe you want to think about the storage on your device. Finally, critical thinking and inquiry-based learning. I mentioned the access to the internet. It's ubiquitous. Every device, whether it's an Android device or a Windows device, laptop, tablet, it's going to have access to the internet, and that instantly gives you the ability to set students on a learning task. Go discover the answer to this question. And you all know, if you've been on Wikipedia or Google Translate, these aren't perfect tools, but this is the world we live in. And it's important for students, I think, to understand that, yeah, Google Translate might tell you it's that, but if you look in the dictionary, it's not. So use your best judgment and kind of work this out and get together and debate the answers in teams. Wikipedia isn't the font of all knowledge necessarily. So these are just interesting things to think about in terms of inquiry-based learning. So a digital team. Now this is something long-term, something to think about long-term. So I don't expect you to have one of these yet. If you do, great. But something to consider in terms of having a core team of people who understand this. Maybe yourselves you'll be members of this team. But in your school, think about who could be responsible for keeping this project moving forward. Now this is an example from a school that we've worked with. And you can see this isn't hierarchy, this is just kind of areas of who's going to be responsible for what. So obviously the head teacher here at the school, he's going to be managing the project, and he's got an idea of where the school is going, the vision for how these devices are going to help, and he needs to understand every aspect of where we're getting to. But I think it's very easy for schools to hand off all of the how-to the ICT coordinator or the IT team. And if you are an ICT coordinator or IT support, you've probably had lots of responsibilities all of a sudden on top of what you've already got, just dumped on you. But at the end of the day, IT are very, very important to getting this to work for you, but it is a teaching and learning project. And the key people here were the people that understood the curriculum best. This is an example from a primary school. We've got the Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 curriculum leaders, the foundation phase lead. So you've got people that understand. These aren't your tech-savviest people, maybe the contrary. These are not necessarily the people that understand the tool, they understand the learning objective. And it's about creating a partnership between these people so that they can understand how the tool will help. But they're the people driving the project forward, really. And then your ICT coordinator is just there to provide the tools that these people need to get the job done. So there's lots of interconnection going on there. Utilising your pupils as well, your high achievers, your digital natives can become your digital leadership team. You can have 1 or 2 students in the classroom that are a member of a digital team, and when a class or a lesson's taking place and 1 or 2 students have got some technical issues, I don't know which button to press, my iPad won't work, those students can be leveraged then because they'll have already done that. They'll be onto the next part of your work, and they can take some of the weight off your shoulders in terms of helping. You've got 30 people using devices, they all might need technical support, and they can help out there, and they can help you as well, no doubt. Finally, with your pupil teams, your digital leadership team can also branch out. Again, this is long term, but we've got examples here like e-safety experts. Having an e-safety expert team within your students that understand all of the aspects of e-safety, who can communicate this to other students. They can articulate it to your parents at a parents' evening, and then that's a great way for the parents to understand, oh, well, that's what the school are doing about e-safety, and my students clearly do understand about being responsible on the internet and how to be safe using these devices, because that will be a concern.